Settle in. We're going to go through every game of this playoff schedule, providing all the game picks, player prop bets, and total plays that you need. That said, make sure you're following us at Fumble Sports. We'll be going live quite frequently, whether it's on TikTok Live, YouTube, Twitter Spaces. We will be all over the place for these NFL playoffs to make sure that you get all the advice you need to cash tickets and take advantage on one of the last weekends of the NFL season. Not too many days left where there's this much action, so you got to take advantage where you can. That said, let's get to the first game, that one being played on Saturday. Like I said earlier, kicking off at 4:30. The 9-8 Seattle Seahawks travel to San Francisco to play the 13-4 49ers. This one is on Fox. Where I see it, the 49ers are a 10-point favorite, and the over-under is set at 43 points. Some gambling trends before we get analysis from everyone. The Seahawks are 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 playoff games, while the 49ers are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 home games. The Seahawks are 15-7-1 against the spread in their last 20 meetings with the 49ers, but the 49ers are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 playoff games, a number of those trends going in favor of the 49ers. As for the total, the under is 4-0 in the Seahawks' last 4 games overall, and the under is 4-0 in the 49ers' last 4 playoff games, while the over is 4-0 in the 49ers' last 4 home games. So a bit of a split on that one. Adam, how do you see this game going, kicking off on Saturday afternoon?
So this will be the third time that these two teams meet, obviously division foes. 2 meetings this year, earlier in the year at San Fran. San Fran won 27-7, and most recently, a few weeks ago, San Fran won at Seattle 21-13. In those 2 games, Geno Smith threw for 435 yards, only 1 touchdown and 1 interception, and was sacked 5 times. So San Fran's defense did a good job against him. Kenneth Walker as well. In those 2 meetings, 16 carries for 67 yards, no touchdowns. Metcalf and Lockett also pedestrian-like numbers. So San Fran's defense really locking down that Seattle offense. Seattle did get straight here, though. They've won 2 after losing 3 in a row and did kind of backdoor in the playoffs with a Lions team being the Packers on Sunday night. They did struggle on Sunday against the Rams. They did give up 140 rush yards to Akers and struggled, but did come back to win that football game. Other side of the coin, San Francisco, Brock Purdy obviously has been in for Garoppolo. He's been efficient. He's not asked to make mistakes and let the players around him and the defense do the work. In the one game against Seattle, he had 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, and like I mentioned, was very efficient. McCaffrey in that game against Seattle as well, 26 carries, 108 yards, a touchdown. And Deebo Samuel will be back. In defense, Greenlaw did get dinged up last week with a back injury, so he is questionable. But in this game, you know, and playoffs in general, defense, right? It's all about defense in the playoffs, in my opinion. So San Francisco for sure here has a better defense. I think Seattle, will give them a little bit of a game early, but I think San Francisco can pull away late. Having said that, though, 9.5, 10, that's a big number. So I can look for San Francisco on the money line or even in a teaser and bring them down. San Fran, if you do lay the points, you shouldn't really, be all that scared the last 3 games. San Francisco has scored 38, 37, and 37. So they've definitely been putting the points on the board. So I would leave San Francisco on the money line here, and if I had to do the over, I'd buy the points down like Fumble Sports does and lean towards the over. And one thing, too, just to mention here, Wyatt, as we get to the playoffs, one thing I really like to do, and there's many sites you can look at, is see where the money's going. You can pull up some of these sites like VSiN and Sports Betting Dimes and see where the public is betting on the spread and the over-under and the money line. With a limited amount of games, I think it's a more accurate snapshot of where money is going, whether you fade the public or, be a contrarian type place in the bet. So during the season, there's so many games in a weekend that the money gets spread out. People play so much. But as these games get narrowed down, we have limited games. I really think those numbers of where the money is going is really interesting to watch, whether it's a reverse line movement or, heavy line with the public. So in this game, for example, right now, San Francisco is getting 70% of the money right now in the spread in this game. So public big on them. They're not afraid to lay in the 9.5 on this game. But that's one thing I'll talk about tonight is, where this money is going and how it affects the spread and, what to take a look at to win some bets.
It's a really interesting point from you, Adam, and it's something I definitely like to get into just a second before we get to Lope, which is I really like to lean on trends. I'm a big believer in strip away the brands, strip away some of the names that you lean towards, whether it's a Tom Brady or whether it's a 49ers. No, it's really about the trend that they've had with Brock Purdy or the trend that Geno Smith has had of late, not what he did over the course of the season, but maybe more recently. To that point, I feel like sometimes public money, you're chasing, you're trying to play the house versus the public, and that can be its own conundrum. My question to you there is, obviously it would have worked for your national championship game. If you had taken Georgia yesterday, that would have been a winning play. But my question to you is, do you feel confident doing that, go against the public play if the trends don't suggest that? If the trends lean towards where the public is going, do you still kind of duck away from it and go with what Vegas is playing with?
Not all the time. And I think that's where we have to kind of watch the numbers because, like I mentioned, reverse line movement, we don't have to get into all that right now. But, that's a good indication where sharp money might be coming in. So if one team is taking a lot of the money, but the spread's going down, that could be the other way of the sharp money coming in, a little bit more money on the backside of it. But you're right, the TCU play. I was on Georgia last night for the simple fact of, this is something else we could talk about later with the Chargers in Dallas is, what did you last see? And what everyone last saw was a TCU team that took it to Michigan that didn't, all intents and purposes have a shot to win that game and won that game, right? So now the line comes out to Georgia, who just barely beat Ohio State, and they're laying double digits. Well, the immediate public is running to the window to cash that, to take the heavy chalk. Well, in my opinion, I looked at the national championship game, and, no offense to Blease, but the national championship game, in my opinion, was Georgia and Ohio State. And TCU kind of like they exerted so much energy. They lost the Big 12 championship game. They went into Michigan. To me, that was their championship. And I didn't see how they were going to get up again against this Georgia team where Georgia's been there before. And I had no problem laying those points last night. Usually I don't like doing that. But, from what I saw, the public was going to run to the window and take the 13 and a half, 14 points. And I just didn't see it that way. So to your point, why there's scenarios where you need to take a look at and not just look at the line and say, hey, 80% of the public's on this side. I'm going to jump on the other side because you can get a lot of trouble that way. But it's really important to watch these numbers throughout the week and see where the money is going, especially with reverse line movement.
Now, I'm someone who definitely got burned by that because I had TCU covering. I definitely didn't. One of the things I didn't take into account in that game is you only had a week to prepare for Georgia. You had a month to prepare for Michigan. You only had a week to prepare for Georgia, and you saw how little time and preparation they really had. They got blown out of the water. So interesting to think about. Over the course of the season, it is something I've been more aware of. I mentioned in past shows, there's an account I really like. His name is John Ewing. I believe he works for one of the sports books doing their stats, and he comes up with a lot of the public money, where it comes down, where there's some of their favorite bets. And it is good sometimes to just fade the public. It's nice to be on the side of Vegas and the house at times, especially to your point, as we get into these limited playoff game situations where there are only 6 games on the board. Where is the money going to drain into? I don't know if I want to be on the side of the public. I'm not going to make up a lot of money if it cashes, and I'm going against a house that probably knows something. It knows how to cash its tickets, so maybe it's a good play to make. That said, let's switch over to Lope. Lope, what are your thoughts about this game between the Seahawks and the 49ers? Can Geno Smith pull off the upset in San Francisco?
Well, if he's going to, Pete Carroll's going to have to figure out a way for his rush defense to hold up tough against the 49ers rush offense. I don't know how much Shanahan's going to let Brock Purdy throw and move it, but they seem to be doing well against the run, and the Seahawks have not been that great at stopping it. But the last 2 games, the unders hit for both of these. I think Adam talked about. So that's kind of where I think the strong play is. And I, like him, is a little weary with 9.5, especially on a little bit. I know San Francisco was in the playoffs last year and had a run, but with the inexperience of Purdy, I could see maybe a slow start or something. And Seattle's really fighting on house money. No one expected them to be here. No one really expects them to win. So they'll have a bunch of tricks and stuff ready. So I would lean towards 9.5, but I'm really think the under is a strong play here.
Yeah, something that's concerning me about this game, if I'm a Seahawks fan, is my team's a little banged up. I had to fight to get in. The 49ers, they've been getting healthier. Deebo Samuel obviously coming back. I think that's going to obviously make a significant difference. Christian McCaffrey, I expect him to have a good game. The things the Seahawks don't do well, too, those are the very things the 49ers do well. Seahawks are bad against the run. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the league in a pro running back system. Seahawks are terrible against tight ends. Surprise, surprise, George Kittle is turning in one of the great tight end second halves of the year. Since Brock Purdy came in, George Kittle has absolutely been dynamic. One stat that I keep my eye on, the last time these two teams played a few weeks ago in December, George Kittle, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 93 receiving yards, including 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if he got an anytime touchdown. That's a player prop bet that I'll probably have my eye on depending on what the money is. And again, with all my player prop bets for this upcoming weekend, they'll probably be parlayed with the team I think is going to win, because if that player is going to get a touchdown, the likelihood that his team's going to win goes up significantly. But I just like Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle doing damage against the bad Seahawks defense. Do I really think Geno Smith can do enough through the air and Kenneth Walker on the ground? Certainly not Walker on the ground. The 49ers are a good run defense. And Geno, I think the story has kind of played itself out to what is a happy ending. They made the playoffs. They surprised everyone to Lope's point. I don't have them going much farther. So for this one, I do like San Francisco on the money line. That's a very obvious pick, though. To Adam's point, there's a part of me that wants to take Seahawks on a cover just to, pardon my butt fumble sports, but to cover my rear. I want to make sure that I might have a little bit of money. I might buy that up just so, and it won't be more than a unit or a unit and a half. I wouldn't do too much on it, but there's a part of me that's like, I'm going to probably parlay the 49ers on the money line into a number of different tickets. So to make sure that I just have a little bit of hedge in there, I'll probably take Seahawks on a cover play. I do really like the under for some reason in this game. And part of the reason is because of the trends. Under 4-0 in the Seahawks' last 4 games overall. Under is 4-0 in the 49ers' last 4 playoff games. I know that the over has been a popular play at home lately for them. But do I think Brock Purdy will put up that many yards and points at home? Kind of conflicted about it. I'm going to lean closer towards the under on it. Again, this is to Adam's point. I'll see where public money comes down. If the price drives up, I'll take the under. If the price dips, I'll take the over. So definitely watching the public and seeing how it goes. Adam, what you got for me?
Yeah, real quick on this game, too. 53 degrees and rain. Not much wind, but they are expected rain for this game.
Well, I certainly like that as I start to tease my thoughts on the under. If there's going to be rain, I don't think it necessarily impacts the ability for the 49ers to cover, or, if you like that. Again, maybe it does. Maybe it helps the Seahawks cover. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to impact the upset probability, I should say. I like the 49ers on the money line no matter what. But I think that under might be a good play. The next game we're going to get into is the Saturday night game kicking